Welcome back everyone to our Let's Play series of TransRoad USA. So in our first video, we basically just tried to get the hang of it. We tried to start the game and get going in our career mode just to see what in the world this game is about and how do we play it. And I can tell you that as soon as I got done recording that video with so many questions that I had, I went into free mode offline and just tried to play around a little bit, just trying to see what some of the controls were and just sort of how some of these things worked. And there's a few things that I want to go ahead and make a change on as we get started. So if you remember back from the first video, we've got one schedule going with our one truck that we currently own. And you can see he's going back and forth between Augusta and New York City. If we click here on the schedule, he is, for this particular job and contract, he is going to make 3 trips, and he is on the first of these 3 trips. So he'll be making a good bit of money, $17.05 per trip plus a very nice completion bonus. So that's going to be a nice job for us, assuming, of course, everything goes okay and he can get it done on time. But we're sitting here with $154,000. At the very end of the first video, we took a brief look at the used trucks here at Bernie's used truck dealership. And so now we have kind of an idea of what it's going to cost us to get a basic second truck. And I say basic because it's nothing special. It doesn't have the multiple axles like we might need for certain payloads and that kind of thing. But we're not that far along anyway. So a basic truck and trailer combination for dry goods is probably going to be just fine for us for a good long while. And in fact, we would probably want this type of setup for a while simply because there's a lot of these types of orders. Now, they are the least profitable orders. To simply have a basic truck with 2 axles pulling dry goods is going to be the lowest amount of money we can make. However, the money is right there and the jobs are there for us to be had. So why not take advantage of that? And then as we grow over time, we'll have the ability to expand on that. All right, you can see right now he is at the destination and he is unloading. That takes, I think, something like 2 hours to do that. Right now we're on regular speed and not anything sped up because I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to come out and go into the options. Okay, so we got familiar with the options last time, but now I want to come back in game and show you a couple of changes that I have made based on my brief playthrough in the free play mode. All right, I had mentioned in the first video that I think the auto pause settings for this type of game are absolutely indispensable. They are things that absolutely must be gotten right. So I'm going to give the game a real thumbs up for this particular section. Now, we may find as the game goes on and as we progress through the career mode that we would like to see more things in here, or maybe we don't need all of these. We'll see how that goes, but I really applaud them for this type of list. This is exactly what we need. There's a few things that I changed, and that is under action finished, contract finished, and truck finished schedule. I have turned these 2 on. I believe this has a lot to do with why I was having so much issue with the empty trailer runs that my guy would do. So as soon as our truck would get done with his last delivery, then he would simply drive back to his home base with an empty trailer, making us no money. And I was trying to figure out a way. I know there's got to be a way around that so that he can continue to make us money by simply bringing home a load with him and unloading and making us money on the return trip instead of doing that with an empty trailer. Well, I think this is going to help us out, particularly the contract finished, because what this is going to do is this is going to pause the game as soon as we are done with the contract. So when he drops off that final delivery to finish off the contract, it's going to pause the game and say, hey, you've got a guy who has just finished up his contract. What do you want him to do? And it's going to give us the ability to look through the contracts for wherever he is in that particular city or that area and have an opportunity to simply set a new contract for him. So I think this is really going to help us out. Also, another thing we're going to need to do is this autosave. I wanted it every 30 minutes because I don't like the idea of this autosave possibly, hurting our gameplay. This game is right now struggling with some optimization issues. The graphics are in such a way that you wouldn't expect that because it's not a very detailed graphics game. However, I had at least one crash, maybe 2, when I was playing in the free mode, and I lost everything because they all happened within the first 30 minutes of me playing. So we're actually going to knock this down to not every minute. Let's do every 5 minutes. That way, if we do have a crash, then at the very least, we'll lose a few minutes of gameplay and we can simply pick up and go from there. Now, I can tell you, my plan is if we have crashes or issues, I'm not going to edit them out of the game. Because part of what this series is about, this is a Let's Play series. So you experience what I experience. I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes and make things seem better or worse than they actually are. So if I get a crash, I'm going to leave it in the video and we'll simply restart the game, pick up from our most recent save, and go on from there. But that way you'll also know that, hey, we had a crash. May or may not understand why it happened, but at least we'll have somewhere to start from. All right, so we've got our guy, and you can see now he's about to start the second of 3 trips, which means he's making the home journey back to Augusta, where he's going to pick up the second load that he's going to bring back to New York City. So all of that is going perfectly fine. And again, we're going to work through these things. There is a lot going on in this game. There's a lot of menus. There's a lot of different things to interact with, both on the map, in the various menus, and then of course we've got menus across the top. There's a lot going on, and I'm not going to pretend that we're going to figure all this out in just a few episodes. It's going to take a while, but we're going to get there. I'm convinced that we can get there. So one of the things I want to do first here is we've got one truck driver going. Okay, we've got one schedule. You can see one schedule here and room for plenty more. All right, and right now we have a hub that is capable of 2. We have room for 2 trucks and 2 trailers and 4 drivers. All right, I don't know why we would need 4 drivers just yet, but I'm sure the game will get to that somewhere along the way. We're ready to pick up another truck. Now, if you remember, when we came into the used trucks toward the end of the video, we're looking at either 2, 3, or 4 axle trucks. And as we move our way along, you can see that at some point we will get to, there you go, there's our first 3-axle truck. And then if we continue to move on, we'll finally get to 4 axles. And of course, at the bottom of the screen, the more axles, ultimately, the more expensive. And there are various other things such as the current mileage on the truck, how much the maintenance is, how often it is, you know, all those types of things come into play as well. What I'm going to do is, I think we're ready to purchase our second truck. And the reason is, if you look here, $51,600, and then if we get the basic trailer for that, which is the only one we have the actual permits for at this current time, is 35 grand. So I'm going to look at that. I'm going to round that up, and I'm going to say, before we can even think about purchasing even the basic truck and trailer combination, we need somewhere around 100 grand. It's not quite that, but you get the idea. Right, so right now, I'm going to go back to the trucks. We're going to pick this up. And you can see this one is going to be perfectly fine with pulling the dry goods trailer that we looked at just a second ago at full speed. So we're good there. So we're going to go ahead and buy this. And we don't want to hire drivers just yet. We're going to go ahead and confirm that purchase. Then we're going to move over to the trailer side. And we are going to purchase this basic trailer. Okay, the depot it's going to is the Augusta. It's the only depot we have right now. And this time I'm going to confirm the purchase and hire drivers, because now we need a driver for our new truck that we have. That brings us into our HQ. Okay, this is part of the HQ, and right now we have 6 driver applications for our company. So we're going to get a message from each driver, and it's going to tell us they have the following licenses. Now, my understanding is that drivers over the course of their employment do not get more licenses. So they have what they have at the beginning. So we're not going to be training these guys. They're not going to be gaining experience, any of that, as far as I'm aware. I'm going to leave everything like that because, of course, we're just getting started. But my understanding and the looking that I've done and the research I've done so far is that these guys have what they have whenever you hire them for licenses. And if they do not have the proper licenses, we can get into big trouble and have to pay some fines and ultimately lose our license if they're caught doing jobs that they're not qualified for too often. Okay, so they're going to let us know what licenses they have. And of course, that's going to give us access to better and more expensive cargo. Now, we're fortunate that our friend Billy has licenses for everything. So we can get him jobs doing whatever we want. We just have to make sure we match him up with a proper truck and trailer combination to do those. All right, so here we see we've got Randy who can do flatbeds and carloads. Now the cars are quite a bit more expensive and more lucrative for us, so that's very good, but we're a long way away from that. And you can see he wants $740 basic salary per week. That means whether he's doing any jobs or not, we're going to have to pay him that. And then he also wants 76 cents per mile on top of that. So a very standard type thing. And we're going to see, we got 6 of these applications. We're going to see how these numbers and information vary as we look at the different drivers. Okay, now we're at 91 cents per mile and quite a bit more, $1,040 per week. Okay, and again, we still got several licenses: dump, flatbed, and car. So the car shows up again, 83 cents, 980. So far, I'm seeing that these guys are fairly expensive, but they have some nice licenses as well. What I'm really looking for, and wow, here you go. Here is a very expensive driver. So Amy Lee has livestock, tank, hazard, and car. She wants $1,300 per week and 119 cents per mile. Now, personally, I think that's a little bit too rich for our blood right now, being a beginner shop. But as we move along and we open up more licenses for ourselves, we get more depots and that type of thing, this is going to be the type of driver that we're going to want. But for now, I think I'm going to go back to, let's start from the beginning here. 740 and 76 is about the best I think we're going to get. Okay, this one's a little bit better per mile. Okay, that's not bad at all. We'll take Patrick here. So we're going to try to watch our cost for now, because all we're going to be doing is setting this guy up on some basic jobs. So we're going to hire Patrick. So now you can see we have
Truck
2
and
jobs.
Trailer purchased and a new driver hired. That should get the cash register ringing faster.
All right, there we go. So now we have an opportunity to make more money. We've still got nearly 70 grand in the bank.
But we can't keep on relying on single tiny contracts. What we need is relationships with clients.
Okay, the relationships, that's what we're going to be building.
We
and
need
now
to
we'll have an
establish a
opportunity.
good reputation with our clients so they offer us better freights and more long-term contracts. That'll get us regular income.
Exactly.
For starters, we should unlock more trade areas in this region. That will give us better coverage of contracts and reduce empty trips. Delivering mail is perfect for that.
Yes, delivering mail is actually the sort of the baseline delivery that you can do. It is the least profitable for you. However, there are a lot of those jobs, and you should be able to keep steady work doing that.
Great. This will help us a lot with contract coverage. Now we should unlock the local furniture factory. Their output is pretty valuable dry van freight.
All right, so you can see here, we've already at the top of the screen visited 4 cities. That's what he was talking about. We should expand and visit more places and more hubs so that we can get access to more contracts and more jobs. Well, we've already done that. We've already done some jobs to some different cities, so we're that far along. And so now he wants us to hook up with a local furniture factory for some dry van freight. Well, dry van freight is exactly what we're doing now.
To unlock them as a client, click on the furniture factory in Augusta and then switch the contract list to show contracts here. This will show you the available contracts.
Okay, so before we can actually start to use this guy, you can see he's showing the idle icon, the coffee icon. So now he's not doing anything. So we're going to need to figure out how we get him into a truck. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on our HQ. Oh, we're already selected here. So let's go back into the HQ and let's see, where are our trucks? That's what we need to know. How do I get him? And we don't want to fire him, that's for sure. We just got him. That's the last thing we want to do there. All right, so now we need to figure out how do we get this guy up and moving. Now, just to make sure, okay, so he's not almost out of this contract. He's not almost out of trips there. I wanted to make sure that we didn't have him sitting idle as well. All right, let's go ahead and choose the trucks. We have 1 idle. This guy, all right, here it comes. So it's being delivered right now. So we're going to go ahead and speed up time a little bit. And actually more than that, that didn't speed up time very much at all. There we go. So now let's see, if we enter our HQ, what happens? Can we, there's got to be a way for us to see this, although the game seems to want to hide it from us. Also, here is, you see the different concessions, the different licenses that we can get. And the next on the list is the Reefer. Right now we're doing the dry van. The Reefer would cost us $100 grand to upgrade. Of course, we're not there yet. We haven't reached a high enough rating just yet. And then from there we can go to dump, flatbed, livestock, tank, and then finally the car for the most expensive. And then of course you can see the contract payment amounts steadily increase until we're making better than double with the tanks and cars. All right, so not bad at all. Now we need to figure this out. All right, game, how do you want me? How do you want me to do this? Let's see, let's make sure that we're going. Yes, we're moving. Our guy is making a delivery. Where's he at? There he is. All right, so how do we get to him? Can we get to him? These are the kind of things that drive me nuts. This should be pretty simple, and I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's just something. There we go, Enter Depot. There we go. I knew there was an icon somewhere for it. All right, so right now we have, of course, we have one truck that's out on the road. Okay, and we have room for 2 trucks in here at any given time. Right now we only have one in there. We've got the truck and the trailer that we just purchased. Now we need to drag this guy, Patrick, that we just hired. Now he is lined up with a truck. We should be good to go to hire him. Okay, let's back out of there, and you can see it looks like he is all set to go. Now let's click on, let's see, the furniture store. There we go. I believe that's going to be the furniture store we're going to need. And nope, it's all locked out. We don't have enough reputation. All right, so we'll keep working on that. All right, so here, there we go. So that's how we can do some things for the furniture store. But I'll tell you what, I'm not going to worry too much about that. Let's click on Augusta from here, and let's see what we've got. So $856 per trip. And from right now, we're going to ignore the completion bonus. Let's see. Then we got, $3,593 per trip. All right, I like that a lot. Same number of days. Now, you can see it's fewer trips. So already I like this trip to Detroit a lot better. $4,000 per trip. Very nice. On that one, takes 1 extra day. 2 trips, $970 per trip. I don't like that one as much. $3,200 per trip. That's a 4-tripper, 10 days. All right, I actually like this one because it's 4 trips and it's going to give us the ability. Let's go ahead and set up our second schedule. And let's see, 32. Yeah, I like this one. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to accept that contract. This is one of the screens I was mentioning that I think I'm going to want to get rid of over time. But for now, I definitely want to keep it. All right, so now we've got our truck on there. You can see he is up and moving. This second fast forward level, or I guess first fast forward level past the regular time, really doesn't seem to fast forward that much. Oh, contract. You can see the game is paused. Contract is fulfilled. And that is the contract for our first truck, which is way over here in New York City. Now, so in the past, in our first video, this guy, Billy, would have driven all the way back to Augusta to home base with an empty load. Now, he has just fulfilled the contract, which was, remember, it was the 3 trips. And now he's sitting in New York City, and we're good. We have a chance now. We're going to click on New York City, and let's see what we've got. Okay, we got a return trip. That's the easiest thing to do. I like it. Let's just take a glance at what some other things might be. 3,000 per trip, 3,500 per trip. Very nice. 5 trips there. Okay, for now, let's go ahead and let's just get the return trip back to Augusta. I like that idea. Confirm that. Yes, we want to do that.
This might take a while. Nobody knows us in Augusta, so our reputation will build slowly. We should try to speed this up. We should try marketing. But we can only do that once we get to the next rank. You can look at the rank requirements in your HQ menu on the top left.
All right, so he says we can only do marketing once we get, so we have to look at the rank requirements in our HQ menu at the top left. Okay, so let's go ahead. All right, here's our second driver that's now making his way over. It's weird that he says nobody knows us in Augusta. That's kind of our home base. Now, granted, we are very new, so it's not. Oh, there we go. Now I see what I did. Did I not drive this guy over one truck? Okay, so maybe it reset or something, because I could have sworn we already did that. But who knows? Maybe I forgot. We'll just treat it as though I forgot for now. Okay, so the top left-hand corner of the HQ, let's click on the HQ. And okay, here's our rank. And so newcomer, then we've got owner operator, and we've fulfilled all the check boxes except for 2. Contract deliveries on time, 4 or 5. All right, so we're almost there. Bank account to 100 grand. All right, we're almost there as well. What this will do is it will open up an additional depot in another city for us to be able to purchase with, of course, the right amount of funds. Then it's also going to open up another trailer concession for us to be able to purchase. Now, if you are not familiar with that, the trailer concessions are here. Right now, the only trailers that we can operate are the dry vans. Okay, the very basic levels and the least profitable ones. We can move up to the Reefer for 100 grand, and it will give us access to these types of contracts for an additional 15% of the payment. Okay, so we're in good shape there, and we're not that far from actually reaching that. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm thinking this first fast forward here is realistically going to be our real time, because it's not really going all that fast. All right, so right now, our first driver, Billy, is on a 1 trip. And let's see, where is he at? Oh, he went all the way back. That's what happened. It must have been, all right, again, I was not paying that much attention because I was trying to keep track of what Billy was saying. But apparently Billy came all the way back to Augusta and then went back to New York City. All right, we definitely did not want that to happen. We'll have to see if we can't keep that from happening in the past. And I'm going to have to pay less attention to Billy and more attention to these contracts, apparently. Oh, there we go. That is not good. And so we lost a little bit of our reputation in the New York City area simply because of the situation with Billy. He was already in Augusta. We had him come back to New York City and then run the load back to Augusta, which is what he's doing now. Okay, so as long as we get it done before the contract is canceled by the client, we're good. All right, so we did get paid. We're okay. We're okay. We did not, you can see, we got -1 per day, and we were only short 1 day. I think 2 days late would have been a contract cancellation. We would have not only not gotten paid for it, but we would have been in bad shape because they would have fined us as well. All right, so we're going to have to keep that from happening. Now, here's the interesting thing. Right now, of course, we're under pause right now. You can see our drivers. We have 1 driver that is now idle, which is Billy, our driver number 1. But here's the interesting thing. As we continue to grow and we have more of these trucks, this is going to be a serious undertaking because we're going to have contracts coming due all over the place, contracts being completed everywhere. I mean, just a simple matter of 1 depot, and if we continue to unlock more space within that depot, we could have 3, 4 drivers, maybe even more, coming out of 1 depot. I mean, we're going to have a lot of stuff going on, so it's going to be interesting to see how this game tries to help us deal with the micromanagement, because ultimately this could really get bogged down, and we can already see that just from having 2 drivers. Okay, so let's see what we can find in Augusta. Let's see, let's make sure that we get everything we want. Let's click on Augusta from here. Okay, and again, we're just doing the basic dry goods trailers. There's all of our other options, though, for in the future as we unlock these and want to work with those. Okay, so we could go to Boston, but that's not going to pay us very much per trip. $813, $3,600, one trip to Chicago. Let's go ahead and take that one. Let's not spend too much time worrying about what it is. Let's just go ahead and do that. Confirm the changes. We'll take the contract. This time we're going to try to do a better job. And there we go. So now we have the one truck on there. We're in good shape. Billy should be taking off. There he goes. So now he takes off to head over. Let's scroll over on the screen. There we go. Now we got both of our trucks here in the loading area. Looks like we've got them stacked up. Not sure if that's how it works. No, apparently not in the game. I was wondering if maybe there was going to be a stacking effect here where it was going to take even longer, but it doesn't appear so, which is good. I actually like that because in real life, they would have the ability to load multiple trucks at one time at some of these large retailers and other types of stores. All right, so now let's zoom out just a little bit, okay, and sort of get a wider glimpse at what we're doing. Now, I've sort of got the camera slanted a little bit over here with the ocean underneath us, so we're not really missing anything. So if we show route number 1, this is contract number 1, which you can see is a one-trip deal from Augusta to Chicago. And you can see right here, it's going to show us where truck number 1 is going. Okay, if I swap over to truck number 2, you can see now from Augusta over to Pittsburgh, and it is a 4-trip deal. And then if I mouse over the actual contract itself in the top left, it shows me exactly what I'm dealing with. In case I've forgotten what are the terms of my contract and how much I'm going to get paid, well, here's your information. Okay, so now we're going to swap back over to truck number 1 because I wanted to see the maintenance. Now, here's one of the things that I'm not exactly sure about. You can see we're very, very soon going to be about halfway to his next maintenance due amount. All right, and if we mouse over the information tab here, you can see that it says to maintain a truck, drag it from the map or truck fleet menu. Oh, there we go. We've just arrived in Chicago, so it's going to give us a new pop-up menu with information about Chicago, and it gives you the various amounts. Now, we're not going to worry too much about this right now. We're more concerned with, let's just get, all right, he is, okay, before he leaves Chicago, let me catch him. All right, we've got the game paused. Let's go to Chicago. Let's go ahead and pull this up. All right, we're on, oops, come back up here now. We're on schedule number 1 from Chicago. Let's see if we have anything that would be a home trip. Okay, no, looks like all of these are basically, wow, some of these are going quite a ways away. Not that that's necessarily a problem. I don't see any that are a great deal beneficial to us. We're in Chicago. You can see we could go to St. Louis right here. We've got Detroit over here. We could go to, if I zoom back out, we'll give you an idea of sort of where we are. I like the idea of going to Detroit. That's sort of on our way back. Indianapolis also would not be bad. Let's go ahead and let's see what we've got. Now, Des Moines, I don't want there because we're going even further. All right, so let's see, $994 to take the trip to Detroit for this contract, $1,100 there. Indianapolis isn't too bad out of the way. That's not bad. $1,300 for the trip. Now, if we go to Minneapolis, which is farther away, still about $1,300. So none of these are all that good. I'm going to stay with the one trippers to Detroit simply because they're one trippers. And there we go. Detroit, one trip. And then we'll get to Detroit and see what we've got there about a return trip back to our home in Augusta. All right, let's take our available truck, drag it onto here. Okay, and he should, hopefully, let's go ahead and get the game flowing again. And yes, there he goes. He's going right over to the loading dock. And excellent. That's the way it's supposed to work. No empty runs unless we simply can't find any contracts that we're interested in. So that's going to be a short drive for him. Let's head over and see how our other guy is doing. And you can see he's going from Augusta to Pittsburgh. making $3,293 per trip, plus that very nice completion bonus if we can get this done in time. Okay, let's go ahead and click on number 2. You can see, okay, maintenance, we're perfectly fine there. It's going to be a long time before we have to worry about his maintenance. All right, so we're not worried about that. We'll come into our truck fleet, and let's go back to Billy. Okay, you can see he has almost made it. There we go. Now we've been to Detroit one time. You can see how close we are to getting to level 1. Okay, which again, oops, there I go again. Almost forgetting. That is something that as soon as I click off that, in this case, the Detroit City menu that shows us the information, it wants to go back, right back to it, and our guy wants to head back to home base. Well, we don't want him to do that just yet. All right, once again, we're going to zoom out. The idea here is to head him toward Augusta. Now, first of all, let's scroll down through here and see. Okay, there's nothing going to Augusta. So if we come back to the top, we can go back to Chicago, which would be perfectly fine for the right amount of money. Or we got a 5-tripper to Chicago, which is not all that much money. We could go to Des Moines, which is definitely in the wrong direction for us. And let's see, a 1 trip to Indy, which is definitely out of the way. Also not all that lucrative. And well, we can go to Pittsburgh. This is the only one that's really getting us in the right direction. All right, let's go ahead and take this one. Let's pull up truck number 1. We're going to take the 1 trip to Pittsburgh. Thank you very much. We'll confirm those changes. Drag our truck over there and start the time up. Now, this is another great reason to really get excited about having longer term, more in-depth type contracts, more visits, or ultimately recurring. And that is simply because we're going to have to do less of this hands-on, because right now we're having to really babysit this driver. I mean, we got to Chicago, then we go to Detroit, now we're headed to Pittsburgh, and ultimately we're trying to get our way back to Augusta with him, not for any particular reason other than that's home base for us. And it just makes things a little bit easier for me to keep track of. So for now, things are going well. And if we can get recurring business, that's going to be the ultimate, because basically then we just put a guy on a route and just turn him loose, and he'll just be running that route from here to as far as out as we can see. All right, now this, what we can see on the map, this is one of our competitors, I believe. All right, we're paused here. We just got to Pittsburgh. Let's see. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, it was our driver number 1 that just fulfilled his contract. I was getting a little worried that it was driver number 2. No, he's just about halfway done. Okay, so we're in good shape there. All right, so now we're in Pittsburgh, but again, this is one of our competitors. Now, here's essentially the deal that this game has got. We have, it mentioned earlier that we could have multiple. Can I get over here? This is really slow to drag all the way over here. Now, as I get closer to Boston, you can see there is a depot in Boston. Okay, you can see this depot starts out with 2 slots, then there's a certain amount of fixed cost, and then here's the cost to purchase that. And you say, why would we be worried about that? Stop. The game wants to get going on me again, and every time it gets going, my driver wants to leave his job and head back home. So why would we worry about this? Well, there appears to be only 1 depot in each city, if there is one in that particular city, which means that if one of our competitors buys a depot there, then that means we can't. And so then it comes down to a strategy play. Okay, so we're making money. Things are going good. We're almost up to 100 grand once again after we purchase the truck and trailer. So we're doing great, but then we're going to have to start thinking a little bit more nationally. How do we want to grow? Because on one hand, we could say, look, we want to continue to grow. We want to expand this current depot from 2 slots. We want to make it to 3 and to 4 and so on. Or we can say, well, before we start doing that, we want to expand out to other cities. So we've got some decisions to make. Of course, we don't have to make all of those at one time, and we're definitely not going to have time to make them right now. But I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. As we see these competitors on the map, I wanted you to be aware that that is in purple. And what that actually means So let me click back on here. Let's head into our HQ. And let's see, where are they? Loans, drivers, cash flow, competitors. There we go. So now you can see these guys. There we go. There's purple. And we continue on. We see this is the guy who fired us. Okay, he's in Salt Lake. Then we've got Edison Express that is down in Memphis is their headquarters, which is where I wanted to start out. But then we've got San Antonio, Oklahoma City, and Portland. So really nobody is all that close to us. Memphis would be the closest one realistically for us to be concerned about. But we have to wonder, is this guy really going to push up toward the northeast where we are? Because he's just right down here in Memphis. So if you look at the possibilities for hubs, I don't know how many of these cities have hubs. I would imagine at least the larger ones like Chicago and Detroit in particular, like New York City, would have one. But is he going to try to push up this way? Is he going to try to push more west? We'll have to see as the campaign rolls on. All right, for now, let's go ahead. We're running low on time once again in this video, and man, do I hate that because we are on a roll. Let's go ahead and click on Pittsburgh. You can see we got our one idle driver, but we're on pause right now, so we're okay. And let's sort of slide our map over, because once again, we're trying to go somewhere over here. That's our goal, unless we get a really great deal to go to Washington. All right, so we can go to Detroit, which is back the opposite direction, $1,300 per trip, not bad, $1,292 per trip. We can head back to Indy for $1,200 per trip, or we can go to New York for $1,600 per trip. I like that. We can head back the other direction for St. Louis, or we can go to, okay, this isn't bad. We go to Washington, which would be a new trip for us. I tell you what, I really like this New York trip. The $1,600 per trip, plus it's a 2-trip contract. I like that. The more trips, the better in general. Okay, we're going to put him on there. Go ahead and confirm that deal. Absolutely. And we're going to drag him onto there. And let's sort of zoom in a little bit and make sure that our guy is going to take off when we want him to take off. Okay, you can see. All right, is he? Let's make sure. Anytime I see him not moving, I know that there's a delay because they're loading and unloading. That's perfectly fine, but I always want to make sure for now, one truck and we've got everything set up properly. There he goes. So we're in good shape. So he's going to start off on, the first of 2 trips. Now we've just leveled up to owner-operator. And if you remember back, that meant we had reached, I believe it was 4 or 5 contracts delivered on time. We've had one contract that was late because of me not paying attention to where our driver was. And so we're fine on the deliveries. Plus we just made it to 100 grand. So that makes it another depot available to us. There's one in Boston. I saw one down here in Washington, D.C. as well. We can purchase another trailer concession and really upgrade our trailers. And then, of course, we can unlock our HQ to level 2, which is going to give us access to more trucks. So we got a lot that we can do moving forward. This is really good stuff. Of course, all that is going to take money. Now you can see we need to unlock the furniture factory in order to continue on. And we need to launch a marketing campaign as well. Okay, let's get a brief update. We know that driver number 1, that's Billy, he's just getting started on his contract. So we know he's on 0 of 2. So he hasn't fulfilled anything just yet. But on driver number 2, he's made he's on 3 of 4 trips right now. So, and that is a very lucrative per trip profit. You can see that. I mean, $3,200, almost $3,300 is quite a bit more than we've been seeing as I scroll back out, more than we've been seeing in places like Detroit and Chicago, even Indy and so on, that we've been dealing with Billy. So that's a very nice amount of money. All right, so not bad. Not bad. I think our video number 2, we got a lot accomplished here. We picked up another truck. And, of course, a lot more routes that go with that. We're starting to get some longer routes, more trips, and really getting into opening up some other cities because ultimately we're going to want to expand. We're going to want to get more trucks operating out of more cities. And so I think we're off to a great start. I can't wait to continue this. When we come back next time, we're going to have some things to think about. We're going to have to start doing some maintenance on some of these trucks. You can see we're about halfway there. This is Billy's truck. We're going to have to think about doing some maintenance on him. He's got about 8,100 miles left before we have to do maintenance on him. And he's going to be the first one. So we're going to have to figure out how to do maintenance. That's going to be a big thing because we don't want these trucks breaking down. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if there's sort of a random mechanic in the game that has, let's see, contract fulfilled. I don't think that's actually all of it, is it? No, this trailer should be gone. It should be empty like these other schedules if that were the case. Okay, plus you can see there's an amount of time listed here. Yeah, okay, we're good. So he just finished up that trip. Yeah, I'm not sure, going back to what we were talking about on this maintenance deal, I'm not sure if there's a random mechanic that would allow these trucks, even though they are under good maintenance for now, I'm not sure if they would just randomly break down and then how we'd have to handle that, if there's some sort of towing function in the game. So there's a lot for us to still learn. I mean, we're just barely breaking the surface at this particular time on what there is to do in the game and how we need to go about doing it. So for now, we're going to have to end it here. Unfortunately, I would love to just continue playing this and let's just keep on going all day long. But unfortunately, we're going to have to end it here. And stay tuned for more as we continue our Let's Play series of TransRoad USA.